Welcome to Podnastics. My name is Jacob Daniel, and along with my friend and co-host Christian Marsh, we interview gymnasts and let them tell their stories. From college-level gymnasts to Olympic stars, we're going to cover it all. This is Podnastics. Yo, what's up, Pod Nation? I am your host with only 5 hours of sleep going into this whole week, Jacob Daniel.
And I am your co-host who was clipped in the background dancing in a gymnastics video, Christian Marsh.
And welcome back to another episode of Podnastics, the podcast for gymnasts to tell their stories. Going back to what Marsh just said, Marsh, take it away. Tell that story real quickly, because I didn't realize that was you at first, but you need to explain it.
No, totally. So I mentioned her earlier in the podcast, like this season, when we had Nia Dennis on. There's this like young woman at Temple. Her name is Kirsten Johnson, and she has just a phenomenal floor routine, like excellent dancer and a great tumbler as well. And so I knew she was going to be competing at William & Mary, and she stuck out because I had seen her routine on TikTok like earlier in the week, and I had watched it a couple of times because it's pretty cool. And so when she starts performing, I'm like I'm dancing along in my seat with one of my with one of my friends, and I did not think about it again, other than the fact that, I just really enjoyed the routine and it was fun to watch. And then, you know, months have gone by at this point, and I get a DM from one of my teammates, and I just see like the comment, "Holy shout out." And I'm like, oh, I wonder what this is about. And I see it's a video, and it's just like in big text, "I need to find this man." And it's me, like super fuzzy and grainy, but dancing in the background along to her entire floor routine. And I had never felt so clipped in my life. I had no clue I was on camera, and I am now slightly embarrassed, but the whole thing is actually pretty funny.
That is crazy that we brought her up. We brought her up on a podcast, and then months later, she is looking for you in the crowd dancing to this video. We might have to clip that. We'll have to turn that into a little video. This weekend, I got to see one of my favorite bands from Australia. Teenage Dads perform in Atlanta. A big thing about me is I love Australian rock. It is just perfect, like surf crush music. Think like the soundtrack to Surf's Up, but just with a ton of like alternative Australians. Marsh, here's a fan question. Fan Jacob Daniel asked, "What is your favorite type of music?"
Oh, that's a great question. I would say my favorite type of music is probably pop punk, but I have been cursed with the music taste of a 16-year-old girl whose date left her at the prom. So I'm also pretty big into Sabrina Carpenter and Olivia Rodrigo at the moment.
It's funny you said that. I was thinking like 2000s, like Blink 182 for some reason.
I like
So
Water Parks a lot right now. Water Parks, the band,
ooh,
fantastic.
that's a great band.
I've had intellectual property on repeat this year.
That's awesome, man. Well, enough about our musical taste because we need to get to our guest today. And this was actually Marsh's suggestion to have this guy on. Although I will point out, I did have a list of people. We all know about the list circulating gymnasts that me and Marsh both knew. But this was Marsh's decision to try and get this guy on. So I'm going to let Marsh do the small little teaser of who our guest is today.
This young man is truly exceptional. And to just really drive it home, he, in his freshman season, was an all-around All-American after hitting 52 consecutive sets, I believe. So, a man who needs no further introduction, Fuzzy Benas.
Today on Podnastics. All right, man. And with no further introduction, Fuzzy Benendez is on the pod right now. I think I just butchered your last name, Fuzzy. I think I said Benendez.
Yeah, it's Benas. Bro, at William & Mary, they said Benas, and I was like, bro.
Whoa, I was not on that microphone.
No,
To
no, 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 no,
clarify,
no.
for those of you who are listening, I commentated that meet, but I did not butcher his name. That was not me.
I don't know, Marsh. It kind of sounds like it's your fault.
What is it at this point, man?
I don't know. Poor Fuzzy just wanted to go compete and have a good time, and you were just trying to victimize him, you know?
I
Me
couldn't let
messing
him
it.
be the best guy on the day and also get away with his name being correctly pronounced, okay?
Me I have dyslexia. It's very hard for me. I have a graphic design degree, but you're supposed to be a lawyer and you're supposed to stand up and fight for people. Pathetic. Anyway, Fuzzy, thanks for coming on the pod today. We're very excited to get to know you. So the first question, who the heck are you? Who is Fuzzy?
Well, yeah, I'm Fuzzy Benas. My real name's Aiden. Most people don't know that. But see, I started off when I was like, I want to say 7, 8 months old in gymnastics, just because both my parents did it. They were my dad was D1, he got full ride from Penn State, and my mom was D1 full ride at Mizzou. So they met at some point in college. I think some probably a Woodward camp or something. But yeah, they met, and my dad was actually still training after I was born, so he would kind of take me to the gym with him. I did those little baby classes.
Nice. Was your dad your coach at all, or?
Oh no. No, yeah. No, he tried to stay away from that I don't even know what you call that. I guess that's like I feel like a lot of Russian coaches do that where they're coaching their son.
It's
Yeah.
so funny you say that because we had Alona Shinikova on last week, and she literally brought up the fact that her dad and her mom were her coaches, and she was like, "Yeah," and I had a really good relationship with them, and I literally went, "That is a 1 out of 10 experience." Every other
Yeah.
experience I have ever heard is just like. Yeah, my dad was my coach, and I would get it at the gym, and then I would come home, and I would get it. I would get it at from home.
Yeah. No, I think that probably that's what would have happened if my dad had coached me. So he was smart.
So before we get into the gymnastics questions, Fuzzy, I got to know you this summer at Flip Fest Summer Gymnastics Camp. Free plug for Flip Fest. I don't think I'm ever going to get them as a sponsor, but John and John, come on, every guest, they say Flip Fest. Let's make something happen. And I know Marsh knows you as well. Very quickly, explain why your nickname is Fuzzy, because I remember, I think I asked you on Thursday at camp. I was like, I think I looked at you and I legitimately said, I don't know a lot of people with the first name legally Fuzzy. And I think you just looked at me and you went, that is not my legal name, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I actually thought most people knew my real name was Aiden. And then there were a few times when I got here, I was like, yeah, like they'd see my name as Aiden on like a document and they go, who the hell is Aiden? So yeah, I wouldn't know. They didn't know that my real name isn't Fuzzy. But I got the nickname from it was from before I was born. My parents were going in to do a sonogram and they're trying to figure out the gender of me before I was born. And I guess the imaging messed up, so the picture came back fuzzy, and that it just kind of stuck.
Man, that's they were like in that moment, they're like, forget Aiden. This is who he would
Yeah,
be now. Fuzzy.
I think it would have been my legal name if my grandparents hadn't stepped in.
I think, dude, as far as nicknames go, though, I don't think, like I said, I don't think I know a single person who has ever referred to you as Aiden. Now, once again, I don't know you very well, aside for Flip Fest, but still, I'm going to stand on my opinion right then and there. So, going back to gymnastics, okay, so you grew up doing gymnastics. When you were young, did you know you wanted to make a career out of this? Like, did you know you wanted to, like, take it to the next level and go compete at college?
Yeah, that was always the goal was at least getting, the education paid for. But career-wise, I when I was little, I just thought it would be a way to get my education. I didn't think I'd go past D1, but I had the opportunity to compete for USAG and I made team when I was a junior and I just kind of stuck with it because it felt right, still feels right.
So what was that like? If you don't mind me asking, like what is the experience going to like USAG? Did I say that right, Marsh? I don't know. The Yeah, USAG. What was that like?
Well, working with USAG, it is fun because that's really the only way you're going to get opportunities as an American citizen to compete internationally. Like I have a lot of people on my team here at OU that are part of the Spain national team, Puerto Rican national team, Turkish national team, Mexican national team, even Hungarian national team, and I mean, they do their own. They each send all their athletes to different international assignments. And the way to start getting those assignments is just by being on the team. So that's kind of the bare minimum. And then you at least have the opportunity to get sent over to I've been to Germany twice, Switzerland once. I was supposed to go to Canada, and then I think that was the week COVID quarantine started, so that one got canceled.
Oh no. Where's your favorite place been? Has it been Germany or Sweden?
Switzerland was definitely the best one. It was so nice up there. It's supposed to be like we were supposed to have a really nice 4 hour train ride through like the mountains and just like the really nice visual part of Switzerland, but it got canceled last second. We ended up doing a 4 hour bus ride.
Wow. I can just hear the wheels grinding. What an experience.
Mm-mm.
So you're currently still at Oklahoma, right?
Yeah,
So what's that been like? Because you're a senior or you're a junior now?
I'm a fourth year this year, so senior, but I am taking a fifth year.
Nice. Very nice to hear that. How would you describe your time at Oklahoma?
Uh, well, life changing to say the least. It's a big transition coming from, your career as a junior and then taking that next step as not only an elite, but like an NCAA athlete, which is kind of where all of elite, at least for the men's program, is heading right now. Almost all the elite gymnasts come out of the NCAA program. So I'd say the biggest change was definitely going from high school academics to college academics and being able to figure out how to balance that with the pretty rigorous workout schedules.
So, I've brought this question up on the pod before to our guests, but what was that feeling like going? Because gymnastics, when you're a kid, I've always felt like it was always very individual. Like you could win as a team when you're doing club, but like at the end of the day, you're still competing all six events and you're still doing all around. So I know when people get to college, there's that like, okay, it's actually not a just me thing. All of my scores are contributing to my team. What's that been like having the team atmosphere at Oklahoma?
There really aren't any words to describe it other than kind of a brotherhood. These are all the guys that are going to be like the best man at my wedding, all my groomsmen. These are people that I'm going to stay in touch with for life. And, these are the guys that, whether it's a good practice or bad practice, you're doing it with them, whether you're suffering in the gym with them or you're celebrating a win with them.
That's what I love hearing, I think every person who's ever brought up on their team gives a very like it's a family vibe. And I think anyone says that about a team, but I can't help but feel like gymnastics as a sport as a whole, the meaning of family, the meaning of like that's my teammate, that's my best friend, that's my brother. It just takes it to the next level. And I mean, of course, there's football teams, there's baseball teams, but I just always feel like there's something about college gymnastics teams that like pushes it over the edge. Um, so your career has been, like I said, like me and Marsh were talking before you jumped on. You've had a really awesome career, and this year alone, you got to go do Olympic trials. What was that like?
That was really fun. I kind of went in with the expectation of I'm not quite good enough to make the Olympic team, so this is all for me, for fun, just for the experience. So I kind of went there, didn't hold anything back, no regrets, and it was probably one of the most fun experiences performing I've ever had.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, like, I think, and that's a great mindset to have too. I mean, obviously, you should have, I'm not trying to say how you should have thought about it, but, I think that mindset of like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do my best and I'm going to have a great time. And at the end of the day, no one can take that away from me. Cause I know Olympic trials, that is a weight on your shoulder that no one can really comprehend. My heart goes out to everybody who did Olympic trials, the guys who made the team, the alternates, and of course, like the guys who didn't make the team, where it's like, Donnell, you gotta love him. I think one of the guys who is always just pushing it to the next level. Like he has wanted this for so long. And of course, he didn't make the team this year. And my heart broke a little bit, And like, what was his response? His response was like, okay, I guess I got another 4 years in me. And it's like, dude, the guy is a beast. I met him years ago. And I remember just talking to him for half a second. And I'm like, yeah, so Olympics. And he goes, I'll get there. And you gotta love that. But like I said, your mindset of just going into it and being like, I'm gonna give my best, I'm gonna have fun. That's an awesome way to look at it.
Yeah, thanks. I was like, it was more of thinking of the outcome as kind of a bonus. Like the experience itself was the goal. So I kind of went there and it's like, this is what I'm here for. If something else happens past this, awesome, but this is what I'm here for.
Yeah, I remember Marsh hit me up about going, and unfortunately, and it's one of my biggest regrets. I really should have just done it. I didn't have a ton of money in my bank, like extra money in my bank account, so I turned him down. And Marsh, you went, and he was just freaking sending me the updates. And I think at one point I put my phone down because I was getting sick of the fact that I wasn't there. Marsh, how was that getting to watch it this year?
Oh, it was surreal. It was definitely one of the best financial decisions I've ever made to fly and buy the tickets. it was a super cool meet to watch everyone just compete with everything on the line like that. Yeah, when Donnell hit that massive floor routine and got like the standing ovation from the meet, that was crazy watching in real time as the athletes were called to the Olympic team, watching Shane just go lights out for 2 days straight, just truly incredible. Yeah, especially in front of his home crowd. I bought a really cool like quarter zip that I wear to school now, and because it says like Olympic gymnastics on it, there's now a rumor going around the law school that I competed at the Olympics. Not true. I've tried my best to let people know that didn't happen, but they're going to believe what they want at the end of the day. And it was, no, it was truly fantastic. And I recommend it to everyone. It's crazy that there were like any open seats in that arena because I would not have wanted to be anywhere else.
So, Fuzzy, Olympics 4 years away, but right now, what are some goals you have in mind? Like what's something on your bucket list you want to get done with your career in gymnastics?
Ooh, bucket list for career. I definitely want to throw a few more international assignments, on the belt. But I think the big one would be a world championship. That's honestly a bigger goal for me than the Olympics. The Olympics is the competition, but I honestly think that it's a better showcase of just gymnastics and just skills, honestly, at the world championships and like the World Cups.
Honestly, not the craziest take I've ever heard. Like, Olympic silver medalist Li Kai from Taiwan didn't get to come back to this Olympics, but he competed at Worlds in between, and you don't always get to see all of the best talent at the Olympics because of the qualification procedures.
Yeah, I feel like there's a little bit less of a filter on the World Cups.
So speaking of Olympics real quick, I wanna ask you a question. So recently, with gymnastics, they announced for the next Olympics they're gonna do co-ed like gymnastics. Did you see that yet?
Yeah, I just heard about that.
Now,
I was
now,
pretty psyched for it.
now you've done that before. You've competed co-ed, right? So
Twice.
okay, so explain that to me because I don't understand that in the slightest, but I think it's awesome.
I think everyone has like a little bit of different rules, so I don't know what rules they're going to use for the next Olympics yet. But I did one in Stuttgart, Germany last year with let's see, it was me, Kai Umera, who else? It was me and Kai were the only two guys, and then it was Addison Feta, Dulcie Kaler, and oh, there's one more. She's on the junior national team. I
Was
know her
it
name if it popped in my head right now.
was it Leanne? Leanne Wong?
No, that was this year. That was the second one in Switzerland.
Okay.
And that one was just me and her. But the way it worked at both of them actually was they combine the scores, so it's almost like an elimination thing where they have rounds, and it wasn't really like everyone does all the events they do. Like the girls didn't do their 4 events, I didn't do 6 events. For me, it was more of pick the event that you think you're going to score the highest on, and then they combine the score. And if you're high enough, you proceed to the next round. And I think there's 3 rounds, and then the fourth round, you can even repeat an event you've already done.
Oh my gosh, man. So I brought this up to Marsh. Do you think with the Olympics, do you think it's going to go men's, women's, and co-ed, or are they just going to take people from the men's and women's team? Because if they do a whole other like co-ed team, that changes the game completely. Like, there could definitely be
Yeah.
guys who are like, I'll just like shoot, I want to go do the co-ed.
Yeah. No, honestly, I think what they're going to end up doing is probably picking some of the same people because the co-ed is definitely a lot slower paced and a lot less intense. So
hmm
that's something that could almost be done. I don't want to say as a rest day, but it's definitely one of the less intense days of competition.
That'll still be crazy because, yeah, I mean, both sets of athletes will go through quals and then they'll go through potentially
Yeah.
team finals and then all around finals and then individual apparatus finals. And so adding that extra day of competition, it's just a marathon for those athletes. Yeah, if you're like, for example, Simone, where you can you could end up doing all around like 4 times practically.
Yeah. Yeah. Even for Simone, I mean, that's hard to keep your body in that state of just readiness for that long. That's really hard to do. Takes a toll.
It does take a toll. Speaking of tolls, but not really, I'm gonna throw it over to Marsh for his patented Marsh questions. Now, Fuzzy, these are very difficult questions. Marsh has been thinking about it all day. Marsh, take it away.
Oh, of course. It's great to see you, man. It was
You too, man.
No, it was fun when I got to see you when you guys, yeah, came and competed in Williamsburg. And I've said it on the podcast before, I'm a big fan of the Sooners, as they were a very nice surrogate team to me every time I competed at the national championships and
Oh
ended up
yeah,
in
we
their
were always
rotation.
always in the same rotation.
Yeah, I didn't figure out why until like, yeah, until I swear until like last year. Like I was like, I wonder what like the common thread is. And I think it's because like, yeah, when I would individually qualify, I was usually in the first place position and you guys always would win your session. And so yeah, they put, the top qualifier with the top team and continue like that.
Okay, I didn't know that was why either.
I just like was sitting on it one day and it just like came to me. But no, I'm very glad for it. It was a fantastic experience. And so, of all of the three national championships that we got to overlap, which one was the best? And of course, other than the fact that I got to compete with you.
I actually didn't get to do the Penn State one 2 years
Yeah.
ago. I was out for that one, but yeah, no, we were in the same session or same rotation for both of the ones that I've competed at. I think my favorite one was just the one at Lloyd Noble in Norman, Oklahoma, just because I mean that's such a rare event to get to host an NCAA's like that and to have your home crowd there and the home court advantage and just everything that comes with hosting. That one was definitely my favorite one.
That's a good arena too. I like the way the sound bounced back at you in the arena.
Mhm.
It was very loud. There's a very high energy event, so it was a lot of fun. So yeah, you mentioned that you missed that the nationals in 2023, right? And so that was due to injury, right?
Yeah, yeah, a bunch of injuries back to back.
Yeah, and so of these, I believe there was an Achilles rupture, there was that unfortunate incident with the pumpkin. Yeah.
Pumpkin.
Uh,
What'd you do with the
so
pumpkin, Fuzzy?
I cut myself carving one.
What?
Yeah.
He stuck himself pretty good from what I heard.
Oh yeah, it was like, yeah, I cut two tendons in half. I cut an artery in half and a nerve.
Oh, dude, freaking, what do
Yeah,
you
no, I
I
like.
cut myself a little bit. This is like a Friday the 13th slash.
Yeah, no, this put me out for a long time. It
So
was
of
bad.
Yeah, so of these injuries that you've had to handle in college, which was the most difficult to come back from, and really how did you handle that?
Hmm. I'd say I'm gonna give you two different answers. The worst one, like just pain wise and injury wise, I think was my hand, just because of how much nerve damage. It was everything that was hurting was just nerves and really sensitive. But the hardest one to come back from was definitely the Achilles one. I had a 99.9% rupture of my, not even Achilles technically, it was my soleus, which is the muscle that connects from your Achilles to your calf. And you can't really do surgery on it because it's muscle and it's so soft. They described it as like trying to put stitches through a wet napkin. You know, if you tug on it a little bit, it'll just tear. It
Whoa,
won't
I
really
did not know
hold.
that.
So they tried a new approach, a non-surgical route. Because I had that 0.01%, they said I had one single muscle fiber holding it in place. So they're like, it's in the right spot. So we just need it to scar down. So no surgery. I got no scar. Um, I think I'm the first male gymnast to ever take this non-surgical route and make a full comeback. So it's more of an experimental kind of a recovery.
That is incredible. Wow. Yeah, no, pardon me, I am speechless. That is crazy. This guy's got one leg.
What it felt like.
All right. Well, don't worry. The rest are more fun that I have for you. Starting with, yeah, you hit 24 for 24 routines between USA Championships and Olympic trials this past competition season. And it reminded me of another stat that I saw a while back from your freshman year, where you hit 100% of the routines your freshman year, on your journey to an all-around All-America honors at the NCAA championships. And so to have such, incredible consistency, how do you keep so cool under pressure? And, how do you train to be so consistent?
In practice, we kind of try to envision every single routine as if it's day two at finals at NCAA championships. So by the time we get there, we've been there 1,000 times already, at least mentally. In terms of consistency, a lot of it also just comes from the training and the numbers we do. I don't think anyone else really does the morning team pommel horse that we do. We'll do like a pommel horse inner squad at 7 a.m. sometimes. We do it in the mornings at every competition we go to when we go to train at whatever arena we're at. We'll do a groups like saluted to our head coach Mark Williams. We'll do a group horse, and we'll repeat until we hit. And it's kind of just taking almost mentally taking away that option of missing. Like honestly, there is no other option than hitting.
Yeah, no, that actually does check out. I have heard rumors of the Oklahoma morning pommel squads at competitions is really what struck me. But I mean, clearly the work pays off. You guys were number one on horse for like most of the regular season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So no, that's incredible dedication to consistency right there, because that ability to hit on command in these high pressure situations is what makes you guys such elite competitors within the NCAA. And so, and my last question for you, honestly, the one I am most curious about, dude, how often do you stick your damn vault? I I think it is crazy. Just to tell you a very brief story, yeah, in Norman, that NCAA championships, so I was rotating with Oklahoma doing all around, and so when it gets time to go to vault on day one, Fuzzy takes his touch and he does a 2.5 and he sticks it. And I was like, dude, I didn't even see him warm up. So I like look around and no one's like reacting. And I'm like, this is crazy. All right, I guess like not even a clap, whatever. And then so I asked one of your teammates, I was like, did he warm up and I missed it? And they're like, no, he just does a 2.5 first turn. And I was like, and he sticks it. And Josh Corona just looked at me and went, yeah, the kid's cheat code at gymnastics, which has become one of my favorite phrases since then. And so we then, immediately competed, and Fuzzy took like a 1/10 hop on the 2.5. And then the next day I saw him compete it, and he stuck it again. So I watched him vault 3 times, and he stuck a, blind landing, one of the more difficult vaults you see in the NCAA, twice. And to keep that trend going, like even when I saw him in Williamsburg a couple weeks ago, he stuck his vault. And I feel like every time I see a clip of Fuzzy, on the Oklahoma Instagram page, he's sticking his vault. So I am super curious. If you did like 10 vaults in comp, how many are you like on comp setting? How many do you think you're sticking?
Realistically, I think like three, maybe four. It's not as
Really?
high as you think. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like
It's
you're
that
underselling
that adrenaline
yourself.
spike helps. That adrenaline spike really helps as you're saluting.
Oh, fair enough, dude. Man, if I got that OU cheer, I'm sure I'd be putting down some vaults as well. All right, thanks, man. That's all I had for you.
All right, Fuzzy.
Thank you.
I got a couple fun questions before we end this podcast. These are not gymnastics related. Well, one might be. We'll see. So first off, first super duper fun question. What is your hype music, man? If you had to choose one song that you're like, I have got to just get in the mode, what would it be?
Ooh, probably if I had to, just one, it would be God's Warrior, T Grizzly.
Oh, he's got class.
I'm more of a first day out kind of guy, but I hear you. I hear you.
Okay, it's been a long day at practice. What is your like unwinding treatment? Like, what do you do where it's like, man, I just had a tough day at practice. How are you gonna relax?
Me and one of my teammates, Max Bereznev, he's my roommate here at this apartment where I live. And a lot of times we'll look at each other after practice and just go, well, is it time? And he'll scream, time to rot. And we'll go inside and just kind of sit on the couch, talk for a little bit for about an hour, go take a nap, and then we'll come back out and probably watch a movie or something. It's more of just relaxation.
Just dudes being dudes, just guys
Pretty
having
much.
a guy time. You love, dude, you love to hear it. There is nothing like a yap session with the boys too. That helps me unwind as well. All right, last question. And this is a really difficult one, so I need you to think hard about it. When Iron Man died in Avengers Endgame, what did that do to you? Did you cry in the theater?
Man, I got close. I'm not gonna lie. I felt, like the burning, the burning in your throat. You're about to cry. I felt that.
I I went to that movie with a couple of my buddies, and we invited one of my friends, and she was sitting next to me, and the freaking Robert Downey Jr.'s body goes lifeless, and she looks at me and taps me, and she goes, "Are you crying right now?" And I remember just like shushing her and being like, "You just wouldn't get it." The
Don't
indomitable.
ruin this for
I
me.
was like, the indomitable human spirit just left my body.
Could
No,
never know what it's like to love someone 3,000.
It,
exactly, dude. You know, crazy story and true story. So my birthday, the movies came out a year apart, right? Like almost like to the day. And so my that which was my birthday. And so my 18th birthday is when Infinity War dropped, and my high school girlfriend broke up with me on my birthday. And then a year later, yeah, and then I had to go watch Spider-Man die in Infinity War and Black Panther. Tragic, really. The worst part of the day. And then a
spoilers.
year later, Iron Man dies on my birthday, and I'm like, dude, somehow this is worse.
Oh, how long ago did those move? Did Endgame come out in 2018 or 2019?
I think Endgame was
I feel like,
2019.
yeah. Yeah.
I,
Wasn't Infinity War like 2017 or something?
dude, I feel so
No,
old.
Endgame was 2019. I remember very vividly 2018 was Infinity War.
Dude, I feel so old because I feel like those movies came out yesterday and now we're about to get the new ones, which I don't really know if I have faith in the new Avengers movies. Now that they've shifted from Kang to Doom, they got Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Doom. They got rid of Jonathan Majors as Kang. Like, I don't know. I mean, some of the past movies have not been good. Captain America 4 was fun, but I wouldn't call it like on par with like the past couple Chris Evans. And then
Yeah.
you have Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts looks amazing because they're doing something completely different.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't watched the new Captain America. I want to go see it. I'm just kind of waiting. It wasn't something that I was willing to spend $50 at the movie theater on food and tickets.
And that's what I like, dude. That's what I'm saying. Not to
Yeah.
side quest this fuzzy episode, but that's just what I'm saying. Where it's like back in the day, if there was a new Marvel movie out, you didn't,
Everyone was going to watch that. It doesn't matter what it was. Yeah.
and they had bangers, bro. Even after Endgame,
Yeah.
there were bangers. There was the Spider-Man movies were great.
Yeah. All the
Uh,
Spider-Mans were crazy.
Shang-Chi was
Shang-Chi slept on.
it slept on, and like that movie came out and everyone was an instant fan, and then they're like, hey, you know what we're gonna do, we're just not gonna use this character.
Yeah.
Simu Lee is on Twitter like every other day being like, come on, Marvel, let's get that sequel going. And Marvel's over here, they're like, no, we can't, we gotta make the Marvels, which was actually a pretty okay movie.
Yeah.
I think Eternals is slept on. I love
Oh,
Eternals.
I loved that movie. That one was good. I actually watched it
Overhated.
last week.
People don't like that movie because it's like a murder mystery. Like it just takes so long, but it's very clearly inspired by like Man of Steel. Like it has some of the best
Yeah.
fight scenes, some of the best 3D stuff. Yeah, so Fuzzy, I need to know with these Avenger movies, are we gonna be back or what?
Man, I think I'm gonna go watch them either way, but I don't know if they'll ever be as good as Infinity War and Endgame.
He's so real for that. I hope I want to let every listener know that ever since they announced this Florence Pugh like Sebastian Stan Suicide Squad like ripoff movie, but it's not because they're from the comics. I have like at least once a day looked up to the sky and I've said, please let me have this. Please be a good movie. And I feel like that is probably the best way I can end this episode of Podnastics. So for Podnastics, my name is Jacob Daniel,
My name is Christian Marsh.
I'm Fuzzy Benas.
and this was Podnastics. Good night, Oklahoma.